Welcome back to the LCS Challengers League. I am Mazel. I'm joined by Magical and Moshi yet again.
Moshi!
And we are going to be getting to... no,
Moshi!
no, Moshi. We want all the M's, okay? We're the Three Musketeers. We do have our
Senzio,
Rally
you're
Cry
the fourth
halftime.
one.
Yes, of course. We have our Rally Cry halftime show, but before we get to that, I do want to cover a little bit of last game. We'll go ahead and take a look at the post-game breakdown here. And a little bit of a... one-sided victory here for DSG, but I think it was a statement, especially coming off of yesterday's losses. Magical.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a statement from a lot of the players, but mostly from, like, Tomio. Meech gets a lot of damage because that's just what Kog'Maw does, and he did a great job with positioning. But Tomio, this was by far, I think, his best game of all summer split. Looked so confident on the NACL, all from that cheese level 6 flash over the wall to get the kill on the spot early into the game. Completely denies a win con there for Team Fish Taco, and from there, him and Dazel just ran the map. They were everywhere all the time at once that Team Fish Taco just didn't know how to stop.
Yeah, there are two questions I kind of have about this. One, was that a missed ban? If so, that's the second time today that somebody has missed their third ban on the red side,
Yep.
which is rough, right? If that's a NACL ban, this game maybe doesn't happen.
100%.
The other thing that we kind of got to look at is, unfortunately, Soraka, tough character, and NXI got caught out a lot by Tomio. I mean, it was a classic jungle matchup before when these guys used to go head-to-head. This time, with NXI in the support role, Tomio is like living right on up. It's like, I remember you. You used to give me a headache.
Yeah, I also really love the flexibility that DSG used in this first draft, right? Like, it really keeps you guessing for Taco, and yes, maybe that ban means a world of difference depending on what that was going to be, but it is still something where DSG needed to come out and prove the doubters wrong after yesterday, and they absolutely did. And it wasn't just the Nico for Tomio. I will say, give Meech another chance on the Kog'Maw, and he can make it work, all right? It didn't look good yesterday, but it looks good today. And I want to go ahead and bring back to a really nice team cohesion play that we had, and it was right behind the Baron pit. The game was already pretty much done and dusted, as Cubby would say. But I specifically want to see this combo really come to life for DSG.
So Turo Drive?
No, it is not.
Okay,
There's a reason I did not say Turo Drive.
Okay, okay. What I like about this play is...
I promise you I know what I'm doing. You don't have to doubt me.
I was just curious because it's just Tomio going off again. And I was like, well, we got some really cool things. We got some good flash ultimates coming through from the NACL, taking total control. But I was like, wow, that one was really strong coming out from Tomio, and I think my favorite one is probably the one in the bottom lane, right? Just going over the wall and catching him out there.
I think that, to me, that was what essentially signified that the game was going to go to Disguise. Obviously, they had to make more plays afterwards. Well, they had to make a couple more plays afterwards, but what that did to the bot lane, where it was actually slightly favoring Team Fish Taco, completely denied Spawn from being that person that could get out of control for the team with a Soraka in the back pocket. Now they were the ones on the back foot, struggling to get back. And when you're a Soraka that is struggling to get back into the game, as we kind of were pointing out, even just a slight misposition as Soraka is done. You're dead.
Yeah, makes it really difficult. And you see Tomio really able to pilot that Nico jungle, and you love to see him taking that kind of forward step as well himself. Now we're going to get to our Rally Cry halftime show, and you might be wondering what I have in store for you. It's not animals this time, but it is my awful drawing. As we have the LCS Challengers, we also have to challenge ourselves, and art is pretty challenging. We're going to go ahead and get to it now. I have 4 drawings that I have made. You have to tell me what the story is, what the background is, and it has something to do with what we just watched displayed in front of us. So, caveat here, don't blame the artist. Blame the art, all right?
Huh?
Wait, what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, think about that for a minute. So this is our first picture. And, you know, I feel like it represents itself pretty well. It's self-explained. It's not abstract. It's not trying to make you think too much. Giving you plain and simple.
It's a sick fish.
What?
What kind of fish do you know?
It looks like a fish.
Clearly has
That does
gills.
not look like
that
a fish.
clearly has gills.
Like a bug, man. That's
No,
not
that is
gills.
not.
I don't know. I would
That is a fish.
I would Alex on this one. Those definitely look like
Oh
gills
my
to
God.
me.
Then what is the thing in the mid lane? Do you even see the mustache?
Oh,
No,
that's a
that looks
I
like
thought that was a
looks-
smile.
I thought it
No,
was
it's a
I thought it was
mustache,
smile,
all right?
too. I thought that was a smile. I can kind of see the muscles at least. So
Yeah, there you
that-
go. See, look at that. You're uncovering the
But that is a
detail of the
fish.
artist's rendition here
fish.
as we get through.
Either way, this kind of happened a lot of times with Meech's sick fish, right? Just killing everybody. I'm curious which one this is intended to be.
Yeah, same here.
No,
'cause
this is
there's-
just generalization
Oh,
of the
okay, okay.
composition.
Yeah, 'cause pretty
It's
much
just
all it
seeing
was
the
was
fact that you have
you
the
take
wall you
the
get to shoot
motif.
over.
And
Yes,
you do it all
exactly.
at once?
Well, see, because all it was Zazel just being like, all right, just stand behind Braum, put up the wall. Cog was like, yay, free game. I don't have to do anything.
The
Question.
aesthetic as this gets me every time. It's just like, okay, you get to shoot over the wall.
Question, why does Braum have a shadow and nobody else?
He doesn't have a shadow.
what
I
is
just
that?
wanted to be there to be a ground there. Oh wait, no, the artist. Sorry, the artist really wanted there to
Oh,
be a
the artist,
representation of the
okay,
ground,
okay.
so you could see
Oh.
the arcing of the projectiles over top. Right.
Okay, so-
without that, you really don't have any basis of what happens. So the artist really was thinking about the viewer than anything.
So the ground there implies there's no ground for the fish, so they're clearly in
Yes.
the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Clearly.
even more so a fish.
We're gonna move on. That was our first one. Meech's Kog'Maw and Zazel's Braum looking pretty good. But this is our second one. Now, this one's even more difficult. I don't know if you can decipher it, all right? But I think it's a pretty clear series of events. I'm not saying this actually happened, but this is what my representation of ONAT was.
He's got the letter R!
What?
He's got the letter R.
Where?
Where?
In the first to the top left one.
That's a gun.
That's
no,
the letter
those are
R.
scissors. That's a pair of scissors. That's a pair of scissors right there.
All right, what is happening in this photo, guys?
I don't know, because it looks like someone
All
with
right.
purple hair has a pair of scissors.
Yes, who
and they
has
lose
purple
it,
hair?
Then they lose it for the
It's like
number
blue.
7. Then they lose it for the number 7, not the letter R.
Oh my god.
This definitely feels as though this is supposed to be around like the Rift Herald, right? When he goes hoppity hoppity hop. and
Yeah.
Kills Young and then
Okay.
hoppity out.
It is. Again, representation of the kills are not necessarily there, but the motif is there, all right? Motif is there. Though this was a little dig at the kind of Tristana setup, but also trying to find ways to make it work, right? That was super important, but as the game went on, it got harder and harder to execute. So trying to highlight a little bit of ONAT's trying to pop off. But
Yeah, he was
it
trying.
was the foreshadowing to something in our double marksman composition. Could you possibly tell what it is? They're at a shooting range, and sometimes, you know.
Okay, so what in the world is Aphelios supposed to be holding here?
Well, what do you
What?
think it is? What? Excuse me. Those are perfect representations of his guns, all right?
The
But it's
letter
not guns that you
U
typically
is
see
the
And the
letter
together.
Japanese
U.
character Wa.
That's
Yeah.
the Calibrum, the green one,
That's the
and it's the Severum. It's
That's
not
the
combos
Calibrum.
you typically see all the time, but you
That's
know,
the Calibrum.
it is the Calibrum.
All right, is this
Dude,
one
have
the
you
letter R?
actually looked at the Calibrum? It's literally like a separated rail gun. It's like really cool.
Let's look at this. Let's look at this.
Is
Yeah,
Calibrum
we'll
the
see.
green one?
Calibrum is the green one. That's why it's green, Yoshi. Good job.
I was
Did
just
you
not
see
sure.
it?
I don't know what
Did
the
you
red one's
see it?
called either.
Did you see though? I made the gunshots themed off of what they're really
I
long
do
for the
appreciate
Calibrum
it.
because it's long shot and they're like little sideways lines because you're like slicing with the Severum. Oh man, I'm
Ooh,
just
I
the
do appreciate it,
artist
I do
chef
appreciate it.
kiss. There you go.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
One of them had a better gun. I do like the fact that Tristana's pistol is like twice the size.
She has a cannon. She literally rocks a cannon.
Sometimes it's a dragon.
Sometimes it's a dragon.
That
Dude,
does
you're not
not-
right.
I
Sometimes
will
it's
say
a
right
witch's
now-
cauldron.
No. That does not look like what you have drawn right
I don't know
there.
what you're talking about. Artist rendition, they have all the power, all the say. So this was a theme to the double marksman composition here. As it was trying to come out, it didn't happen. You look at, this into, what could this possibly be?
That's a balloon popping. That's a pop
And,
blossom.
oh my
man.
god, and what does that mean together, Magical?
I will say, is that supposed to be a dart, a needle, or a torpedo?
Well, you answered it the first time when you answered your own question.
No,
But what does this
it
all
hasn't
mean?
answered anything because I cannot tell. It looks like a torpedo.
It's not a torpedo, it's a needle. With the
Wow.
you see the little shine at the tip because it's all sharp and you got the little needle thread part at the back.
That is
Doesn't it look like a torpedo?
Have
you ever even used a needle?
Yes, and
have you ever even used a needle?
That thick. That is thicker than my pen.
Well, I had to be able to let the audience see what it was. Oh, wow.
All right. Pop
so what was
from
this?
Nico.
Oh my god!
Just any one of
but
them.
it wasn't one. It was all of them. It was the fact that Tomio literally dismantled this game, and it was actually incredible to watch. So that is our art is challenging for the day in our Rally Cry halftime show. Thank you for bearing with my terrible drawing skills, but we get the representation. All right.
Terrible drawing skills.
Yeah. Sorry.
Whoops.
I apologize. It definitely was not me at all.
Okay.
But DSG looked good in game number 1. Taco are going to have to find a way to come back. We've seen DSG maybe on the way out yesterday, now coming back with a resurgence. Taco just need to put it together. We'll see what happens in game number 2. So let's go ahead and send it off.
All right, thank you, Mazel. I like to make fun of your art. It's a lot of fun. I mean, the artist's art. But we got to get into this one and see how Taco can possibly bounce back in this game. And really got to look at the draft because last time it just felt like DSG had their number. They pretty much predicted every single stage of the game. They had these great answers to everything that Taco had drafted for themselves. So now that we're swapping sides, that Sejuani first ban by Taco, I wonder if they're trying to maybe get the NACL themselves for Onat, if they want to try to keep Kindred open so they can get that for Rosethorn. There's so many options that they have available for themselves, and I'm really curious to see what these guys decide to take off.
Yeah, I mean, we do see that they need to be very careful about the way that they are playing around the solo lanes, right? Onat and Lunacia were actually doing a pretty decent job at playing the laning phase, but after that, it kind of fell apart. And I think one of the big things that Team Fish Taco will really need to do is find ways to be aggressive when Rosethorn isn't on this Kindred. The only other real way we've seen these big advantages come through for Team Fish Taco are when Onat is playing Annie and when Lunacia is playing Jax, and they didn't really go for either of those last game, right? It's a bit of a different look coming out for Team Fish Taco, but they really need some tools to be aggressive in these fights. And just as we call for it, we were saying that Lunacia needs to be on this character. He's going to lock it in first.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, especially with the NACL banned by DSG. I almost expected them to leave that and the Jax open and say, all right, Taco, which one do you want? Do you want the Jax or the NACL? They decided to ban that away. Give over the Jax to Lunacia, one of his best performing champions, and the one that Lunacia really made his name for back in spring. But DSG are going to grab this Maokai for Tomia and even take away the Tristana from Onat.
Yeah, the Tristana has been really taking off for a lot of different players, right? Even Onat had a couple of good kills early on in that game, but with the LCK, it looks like we might be going to Fangorn Forest with all the Ents coming through in this one, both the Maokai and the Ivern being played in the jungle. And one of the big things that you always got to be careful about playing up against Team Fish Taco is when you play double marksman compositions, this Jax has opportunities to go absolutely nuts.
Yeah, and I like it with an Ivern as well, because you land that root caller, then all of a sudden Jax gets a freeway onto you without even having to use Leap Strike nor Flash. Automatically, you can get on top of Young, on top of Meech, but you have to land that in the first place for Rosethorn. That's why I like that NXI is going to be on something that is more of an engaged champion, something that we were kind of saying that has been really the strength for Team Fish Taco, is when NXI is on more of the engaged champions and can set up a lot of the fights for the team.
And now we also have the Cassante coming through for Fake God. A classic matchup up here in the top side of the map. Either player can really take control, but based on what we saw in our first game and based on the familiarity with the champions, I do feel as though Lunacia should have opportunities to potentially play this lane for advantage unless you get a lot of interference from the jungle. And this is definitely a way for Team Fish Taco. They've already set up for Lunacia to be one of the primary damage dealers throughout the course of these fights. And one of the things that we are still continuing to look for is whether or not Team Fish Taco will be able to play with Lunacia effectively split pushing on the map.
I'm just kind of going back and going back in time, looking at the last time Taco and DSG faced off against each other back in week 1 and looking at how that was. It was actually kind of funny because when we look at how the draft was, Fake God did take away the Jax from Lunacia beforehand in game 2 and was able to do a great deal of damage back over and really make sure that Lunacia didn't have the best game. But this time around, it is Lunacia on that comfort champion, going up against Cassante, having ways that aren't just yourself to get into a lot of these fights. And that's where I think for DSG, they have to kind of think of another way that they can possibly peel this Jax off the back line. maybe even get something that is going to really set up a lot of the fights, like an Alistar possibly for Zeyzal.
Ooh. And they're committing to a double marksman composition once again into the Jax. Now, I was definitely thinking of Alistar as well. One, because it's good into the Jax, you knock them away, and also because it is one of the classic picks that you have been playing into the Rel so far. Yes. It's one of the most popular ones to interrupt some of the combos that NXI will have in the game. But as we start looking at this one, we will get to see the Xayah being played here for Spawn, knowing that they are not going to be the player that's going to be receiving a lot of peel. They will be on a much more self-sufficient character, and the only thing we have left to do is see what it is that Onet wants to play. His most successful so far has been the Annie, but it's not the easiest thing to play that here, and I'm not sure how I feel about the Azir either into Kai'Sa Tristana.
Yeah, kind of looking at what else that Onet has played, the Victor has been something that he has done well on, but into Tristana, that is a very rough lane. If the Tristana does get ahead at all, as Victor, you just cannot play that lane, but I feel like it's a very volatile mid lane now. This is really going to require both Tomio and Rosethorn to put a lot of attention into this mid lane, because whichever one gets that first kill, that is going to be who ends up dictating the entirety of the mid game.
And this is an opportunity for both of the mid laners to try and play a low health lane, right? Both mid laners super incentivized to just trade HP over and over because they both know that the volatility can go in their favor. And we've seen that DSG has been more proactive about bringing Zeyzal to the mid lane than NXI has been going to support Onet. So DSG, I mean, expect Young to play relatively aggressively early on in this game and really try and control that, because DSG will have the opportunity to split push all lanes, but so will Team Fish Taco if Onet is actually able to stand up in the mid game.
Right, and that's going to be the big thing. Looking at the mid-jungle duo for both sides, we know that Rosethorn and Onet, when they play together and they get these early leads, they have been a terror, and a reason that Team Fish Taco have picked up a lot of their wins was off the successes early into the game. But Young on this Tristana, a big power point that you can have, especially into something like Victor, as you talk about the side lanes that you can then set up with both Young and Fake God. Really difficult to deal with if the Tristana gets the early leads and the Victor cannot stand up against her.
Yeah. Now, there are opportunities, right? You can play very aggressive as the Victor in the first level before Young has access to that jump. And then after that, it becomes very heavily about where Young does choose to go with the attacks. And Young, by going for the fleet footwork, is indicating that they are planning to go for a static shiv build as well in order to control the waves and look to move earlier in the game.
Meech and Zeyzal hanging out, possibly setting up for a late invade to get a little bit of vision on the Rosethorn. Especially as the Ivern and early clear, really important to kind of watch how you go for that. And Rosethorn has been someone that has been playing the Ivern probably the most out of a lot of our challenger junglers. And so I wouldn't be too surprised if, yep, there it is, that little bit of a late invade from DSG just to spy where Rosethorn's going to be early into the game.
Yeah. There is a ward over by the Raptors as well, and I do kind of want to point out that it is a growing trend for junglers to take fewer and fewer potions based on how healthy you actually are in a lot of these early clears. Tomio has one, Rosethorn has none. They're both going to be very comfortable with their ability to clear out a lot of these plays. Now, I always look at Ivern players and see how efficiently they are able to move around the jungle with that access to that Q, just hopping over walls over and over again. But so far, I mean, it's not going to happen just quite yet, but when Rosethorn goes back towards the top side, watch how he uses the Blast Cone and whether or not he uses the Root Collar to move as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on that in just a minute. Everything else kind of lock standard, even Young getting early lead over Onet. Every lane for DSG has a bit of an advantage outside of the top lane. The only one that's really looking strong for Taco is Lunacia on his signature Jax is getting early advantages against Fake God.
Yeah. I've been watching Rosethorn, how often he zooms around on the map, and he did totally fine, right? He did like a lot of the basic root collar things they can do on the champ in order to move themselves around, but with the two junglers on the opposite sides of the map, it actually looks as though Rosethorn is going to be the first one to try and interact in the mid lane.
That's kind of what we expected. The mid-jungle duo for Taco likes to sync up, but look at how Zeyzal is pathing already to make sure if that play was enacted by Rosethorn would be answered. There would be someone to back him up, and Tomio will have a lot of freedom in this jungle to power clear this entire his entire side of the jungle.
Yeah. At the same time, right, Zeyzal has nothing left to do on the bottom side of the map. They power shove the first couple of waves. Meech is going to be backing away for that cull as well. And Young can be very aggressive still, right? He's done a decent job actually pressuring Onat's mana pool more than his actual HP bar just by going for in for a trade every single time whenever Onat has to use that laser. It's a big chunk of his mana, and so now he's going to have a lot more trouble actually trying to go for these plays because he has no shields.
Oh, it's Rosethorn really wants to look for this play in the bot lane, but the wave, not a very large wave that would crash into the turret. With how the minions kind of were aggroed and pathing, did make it really difficult. Plus, Zeyzal Meech playing very passively, giving a lot of respect to the fact they have no idea where Rosethorn is, and the fact that Tomio notices the Scuttle Crab hadn't been taken on the top lane. They expected that Ivern was looking for a play bot lane.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a free extra camp coming through. Rosethorn, right? We were saying that his most successful games are ones where he is going very aggressive across the board. All right. I was wondering if Lunacia was going to jump in after that. Still, this is a good spot coming out. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
This is a really good spot coming out for Disguised, right? Across the board, their lanes are coming out a little bit ahead, and it's going to put Spawn in an awkward position because he's trying to get his back off to get the cull as well, and they're not letting him move at all.
Yeah, and can't even get back at all. And now, top lane, there's going to be the first movement for Rosethorn. Root Caller, no escape for Fake God. They can follow this one up. Even with the dash away, Lunacia's got enough damage for first blood.
I cursed him. He hadn't been first blooded this entire split until today.
It's your power point. You did it. I can't believe you've done this, Josh.
That is the worst caster curse I think I've ever seen, right? Just like, oh yeah, look, he's never been first blooded. Until this happens, that's going to be a flash coming through from Lunacia and from Fake God. A lot of damage coming through there as well, but setting up Lunacia for success is one of the most important ways that Team Fish Taco can actually win some of these games, right? He has showcased that this Jax is really good against these double marksman compositions, and now that he has the tools to try and accelerate his own game, he can really punish Young and Meech for any mispositioning, and both these AD carries are going to be jumping forward.
Fake God suffering his first and only first blood of the entire summer split, all thanks to Josh's PowerPoint. I can't believe you, I got to make sure that everyone knows this, Josh, that it's all your fault. And
sorry.
Now with Lunacia coming back in the lane, he'll have that Sheen. Doesn't even TP to the top lane, so he can always TP into the spot lane, as Rosethorn did take a lot of damage, but with the Chaos Storm brewing onto Young, slowing down as well. Zeyzal will be there to defend to make sure if the fight continued, they could just turn it around as NXI and Spawn have a little bit of a 2v2 against Meech and Zeyzal on the other side. The aggro of the Dragon has not been relented. Tomio has been taking this up for such a long time. They even want to re-engage because it's split up at the moment for Taco. They've got a lot of damage, but NXI going to be the first to fall as they do get the kill back for the Root Caller. The cleanse coming in from Meech. They've taken down Spawn, but Taco not having the ults anymore for Onat. They do get the Root Caller on to Zeyzal, taking a lot of damage on top of him. They're all low. Gravity will lock down Zeyzal, but he gets the shields back, re-engage the flash away from Onat. This 3v2 extended, and the Dragon has not been reset. Rosethorn is so low now. He's got to be careful because they can look to re-engage this one, even though the laser pointer does a lot of damage for Onat. DSG, finally, it's going to be the Dragon resetting. They don't keep the aggro going.
Honestly, even though it's an extra kill going over to Disguised, I actually really like coming out from Team Fish Taco, right? They stopped the Dragon from coming through. The way that Onat's playing on the edge of possibility yet again on this Victor. The big question that you always have for Victor is when does he actually get the laser upgrade? When does he get the Lost Chapter online? By getting the extra 25 Victor bucks with the assist, he skyrockets ahead of where you might expect him to be. And this Victor is going to be so good later on in the game because it has range that Justana and Kaisa will not be able to manage.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's very close to with the Victor bucks getting that mid lane. It's a great entrance, and Onat, he doesn't have the flash, he doesn't have a shield to try to defend him. They try to collapse back onto Young, but he's got the rocket jump out of there. So instead it's going to be Zeyzal getting a lot of the attention, but with low damage from both a Rel and an Ivern, a simple flash from Zeyzal will keep him alive.
Oh,
whoa.
whoa.
They give this fight going, though. And look at Tomio on the other side. Even though they do lose Azel, Rosethorn's too low to really help out NXI. And they've got the ult. They've got a kill. It's a killing spree for Young.
Wow, out of nowhere, Young suddenly with 3 kills. It looked like a good re-engage coming out from NXI and Rosethorn, but it ends up having another tree right around the corner. We were just talking about how good.
So many trees.
We were talking about how good this was for the side of Team Fish Taco, that Victor is getting accelerated. Then they immediately jump on him, right? This is a great look from the side of Disguise. I love the fact that they're bringing up Zazel yet again to try and make sure that the mid lane is winning for Disguise.
Well, and that's a big thing. I think that has been powerful for Disguise, even back with Cloud9 Challengers, is that Tomio and Zazel both kind of work in this this understanding of one another. Where it's like, all right, Tomio's going to look for a play on one side of the map, and Zazel will kind of make up for any of the other plays that Tomio's not able to get to in time. Like right there, Tomio is focused on the top side of the map, so Zazel's like, hey, we'll make a play happen mid lane while you look for that, because bot lane, they didn't have to worry about it. It was kind of frozen at that point. Meech was fine by himself. This allows a lot of freedom. That's honestly why I think that Tomio and Zazel have been kind of this powerful duo together.
One of the things that has oftentimes happened, right, throughout Tomio's stream in particular, you can see that when he's feeling good, when he's feeling strong, he is, 1, hilarious, and 2, willing to make all kinds of plays all the time. But now in this competitive play, he's really relied on players like Zazel to kind of help move him around the map, make some of the larger decisions every single time they go for things. And we saw that last game when he was feeling really good on the Nico, he was just making all of his plays all on his own. But as we are going into this pause, we have to look at who is currently ahead, and it feels as though there are enough tools that are strong enough for Disguise that the 2 marksmen might be able to take over from Lunas. They can't actually get to them.
Yeah, so right now, sorry, we do have a game pause at the moment. We're just waiting to figure out exactly what's going on. Hopefully we'll get this resolved soon. It gives us a little bit of time to kind of digest what's been going on as you're kind of talking about Moshi. And how, looking at Taco, the fact that they do lose this play in mid lane, and now you have to deal with Young being 3-0 on Tristana. We kind of highlighted before how this is a very volatile matchup between the Victor and Tristana. Whoever really gets ahead early into the game is going to make it so the other one can't do much. Well, now Tristana has this lead, so for Onat's sake, is there even a way that they could possibly collapse back and pick up a kill, get some shutdown gold back for him?
Well, the good thing about the Victor is he should have the laser upgrade online relatively soon and already has the Lost Chapter, meaning that he basically, he clears the wave every single time, right? He walks up, he kills all the caster minions. It's really tough. He will have to sacrifice farm in order to keep his health bar high, but it's not as though the Victor is going to be completely out of the game for a while. And we were also looking at the fact that there is a very high likelihood that his opponent is going to be going for the static shiv or just kind of push waves. But that also means that it's like, all right, cool. Well, you can't not push now. You're already just taunted. You have the static shiv. Every single time you auto attack a wave, it's going to come right on towards me.
Oh, we're going into the bot lane play. It's a 2v2, a 1v1 between Spawn and Meech having to flash away. Spawn will gain control of this bot lane. I was saying how Zazel feels unable to always go for these plays elsewhere. Well, Spawn's like, no. That's not going to be the case. If he dares leave me alone, I'll look for this play. But here we go. The replay of what happened mid lane.
Yeah, I love this splash from Young, making sure that he can actually get in range, doesn't get stunned up, because you need to get him before he gets all the way under turret. And then after that, I mean, there's just not a lot of damage between these 2 characters as they try and chase down Zazel. It's all about this root color landing on Young. Perhaps a little bit too aggressive of a path coming through from the mid laner here. He should know that they are there. He sees the minions that are giving the vision of him, and after that, it's just a matter of the fact that Tomio right around the corner, ready to pick it up, and oh, it goes to Young! I didn't realize. Wait, no, he was alive. It was Zazel that died. Ha 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 ha. Alex?
I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry, I was muted because I was taking a drink of tea.
I thought you were just going to make me sit with that, just not being able to read the map. I thought that was intentional.
Maybe I should.
Either way, it is still a trade of Mountain Dragon here for the Rift Herald. Disguise does pick up the Mountain Dragon. It's not going to be as much gold, but you are getting that later game scaling coming in, and every little bit helps you deal with the dive that will be coming out from Lunacia. And it is worth noting here that with what we saw at the beginning with the First Blood going over towards Lunacia and cursing Fake God for getting the First Blood victim of the split, he's still up in CS. He's still probably relatively even in gold based on what we have been seeing so far. And Fake God's still able to kind of fight this top lane to a standstill.
That's the power of Fake God. That's what you were talking about with your PowerPoint production there, was that this guy, even if it was his first time getting First Blooded, he is a very powerful laner, not just from getting kills, but just how he's able to gain control of the minions, wave state, and make sure that his opponent is starting to struggle without even having to put up really a fight. As you can see that Fake God constantly is getting these waves frozen right outside of turret aggro. So Lunacia is not even able to capitalize by getting any of the plates early on to the game. He's just been like, yeah, what can I get? I can get some farm, I guess, but every time he steps forward, Fake God chunks him down and makes it so that his life is really difficult.
It was kind of a lost art for a long time, right? The ability to zone people off waves instead of just fighting them. And Fake God...
Look at this.
Yeah. Fake God was one of the players when we were doing Between Two Buns was saying like, yeah, I used to be a player that would constantly play to just not lose my lane. And the ability to start playing to be more aggressive has really helped him kind of click and figure out how to be more aggressive in the lane, take more advantages, and also deny more minions from his opponents as he teleports back in to zone Lunacia off another wave.
Just keeping him at bay, making sure that Lunacia on this Jax can't do the Jax thing, which is take these structures really quickly and then become a menace in a side lane. You're slowly starving out the Jax, making it really difficult for him to do too much, and that means the rest of the map is kind of enabled for DSG. Like, look at how large that lead that Young has over anybody else on the map.
NXI.
NXI is kind of locked down underneath the turret, but it is still Rel. We'll be able to get out of there. It's going to be the crash, and a lot of gold swung over to Team Fish Taco.
I wonder if that's what the Rapaz was about. That was really weird. Right with that. That was some crazy minion block right underneath the third. He does get sandwiched a little bit, but still some gold going over to Spawn, NXI, and Rosethorn. At the same time, Tomio completely uninterrupted the top half of the map, starting to look towards potential dive and taking away some camps.
Lunacia is struggling here against Fake God, even with his own back.
Yeah.
He hasn't quite got that mythic item compared to that of Fake God. And Fake God's the one who got First Blooded, right? He's been just keeping himself steady in this top lane and now gain himself a 20 CS lead over Lunacia, while Rosethorn kind of wants to help out this top side of the map. But Tomio's like, hey, I got a strong top laner, mid lane shoving as well. We have priority, so I can take away this jungle before Rosethorn can really act upon it.
Definitely an hey, I'm walking here, right? Like just using it, trying to find his way out of that fight because there's nothing he can really pick up. He already got what he came for. He got a big frog, and now he can move to the rest of the map. But first items coming out for a lot of different members. Onat choosing to go with the Leandries, but it's not yet completed. Trying to burn down some of these strong frontline characters that these guys have picked for themselves. I'm expecting the next fight to really happen around this upcoming dragon, and the fact that Young will already be, accelerated at that point of the game really helps out. All right, drives me nuts. Static Shiv, hate this item, but the only thing that annoys me more than watching a Static Shiv proc clear a wave is watching a Static Shiv proc not clear a wave. Always, always use your Static Shiv proc on one of the outliers of the herd, right? You gotta get one of the stragglers, and it'll chain through everything. By attacking the cannon minion there, you potentially lose opportunities to clear out the wave as efficiently. You probably could have gotten all of it in one fell swoop.
That's why Spawn probably has a little bit of a lead as well. That is going to be the big saving grace here for Taco, is that Spawn has gotten himself a lot of his leads, but we go to the top lane, all out used. It is the stun on a Fake God underneath the turret, so he did take a lot of damage against Lunacia, but with how low Lunacia and Fake God both are, they're going to both relent a little bit of the pressure. Lunacia has TP, so either he can stay in the lane or he can shove it into the bot lane, but we have a lot of fighting here on Rosethorn, and with even the shields, it's not enough. The Magnet Storm trying to help out, as Spawn's got a lot of the feathers put down with the Feather Storm as well, waiting for the Let It Rip. Azazel's on the other side, dashing away. There's going to be the 1 kill on a Rosethorn, but DSG will take that and immediately go to the Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, that's the jungler dead already, and Disguised should be able to pick us up relatively cleanly. I was really worried there for a moment, right? That's a lot of feathers down on the ground, but they had to use the Blade Color relatively early on in the fight. And the other big thing that happens is because Onet teleports down to the bottom lane, this turret might die, right? It is still a Tristana.
Yeah, it will die. That Demolish proc Tristana. Okay, actually didn't use the charge on it, so...
Yeah, you have to use it to push the wave. Either way, still a Dragon going over, still a lot of damage on the mid lane structure, and a Cloud Dragon coming onto the Rift this time around. I definitely feel as though Disguised are now using the fact that Rosethorn and Onet have not accelerated into this game. We say, yeah, we're going to play a relatively standard game. We don't need to do anything particularly fancy. Just as we move around, try and make plays. Look at the fact that Tomio is up 30 CS on Rosethorn. And not just Rosethorn, on Hybrid, right? Just the amount of extra pressure he has already put into this game by moving around and farming more efficiently than his opponent is allowing DSG to just walk into these fights with more strength.
And look at pretty much every one of the lanes as well for DSG. The top half of the map where DSG has both of them 30 CS over their opponent at the moment. Getting a lot of these leads, and even if Tomio has been a part of more of the fights than Fake God has, it has a lot of pressure onto Team Fish Taco, who now feel like they have to look for this play onto Zazel, who is a little too far away for comfort.
Yeah.
Getting this pick is going to be nice, especially if you give that over to Onet.
I mean, that's some much-needed money that they're going to be able to pick up, but what else can they get with it? It does look as though Spawn will be uncontested in the bottom side of the map. That will be a structure traded for this Rift Herald.
It'll be the first one as well.
Yeah, that's good money. It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money for Spawn. The person we were kind of talking about for Team Fish Taco at this point, who is going to be the big factor for them. While the top side has been doing really well of gaining individual leads for DSG, the bottom lane, Spawn against Meech, since that's kind of just been the 1v1 matchup as the supports have been all over the map besides bot lane. Spawn is getting massive leads against the static Shiv abuser Kai'Sa.
Yeah, but now here in the mid lane, Young is going to be clearing out this turret before Shelly crashes. Yep.
Yes.
So still has full HP, but might not even get the crash onto the next structure. They do push this relatively quickly.
Well, it depends. If they can get this pick onto Rosethorn, that can help out a lot. But that's for Chaos Storm Bruin. The flash away from Young, but here's the re-engage. The Feather Storm. Tomio will fall. One tree takes down another, as it's going to be the Lovers duo as well. One winning out.
Yikes. Yikes, that's a lot of money going over to Onet and Rosethorn there. Rosethorn doesn't even, he doesn't even get that close to dying. You just are sitting in the Chaos Storm the entire time. Now it's Team Fish Taco pushing in the mid lane instead. They have Daisy. It's going to be taking up a little bit, but as a teleport comes through from Young, will dissuade them from getting even more damage. But that was a wild fight. Tomio's got to remember he is not as strong as he was on the Nico.
Yeah, not as strong and also not nearly as tanky as I think he thought he was either in that fight. The fact, like you said, that it's just a Chaos Storm on both members. Look at how much damage it is ripping them apart.
Even if the rest of Team Fish Taco aren't there, this is not a fight that Disguised win. The fact that everybody shows up just means that Zazel and Tomio both die. I think Tomio probably dies no matter what, but still, that's the kind of fight that you need to be very careful about taking, because this Victor will be shredding later on. And we've seen Onet, he always likes to talk about how crazy he went into Victor game where he was just beasting on everybody. This is one where he might be set up to do the same.
Putting down the gravity well, scares off Young from actually taking down the structure here in the bot lane. And having that Leander's now completed, that is going to be a lot of burn that he can provide already with the Chaos Storm. He was already doing a lot. And the Victor Bucks, like you said, has upgraded that laser. So this wave clear from the Victor too is going to be nearly unstoppable.
He starts to move around, right? I mean, this Victor is a character that is not only really good at defending sieges, but is also super good at going for a lot of these split pushes because of how quickly he can take the wave, how quickly he can move around, and the movement speed that he also has every single time you throw out the Q once you've gotten your second 100 Victor Bucks in order to make that just give you the extra shield, the extra movement speed. Now Disguised, they have to start setting up for this next dragon as well, and they are here well in advance to try and take away all the vision that Taco needs to get in.
We are getting those item spikes for Taco, so they're going to be quite relevant when it comes to this fight. Looking at how they have the Navari quick plates for Spawn, 2 items for Meech, then mid lane, even if the Navari's haven't completed by Young, that Leandries is going to be such a big point for Onat to really start burning down a lot of these members of Skies. That's why they have to kind of call down Fake God just to have more of a front line, since Tobio having the demonic embrace is not going to be enough to kind of absorb the damage and the burn from Taco.
Not going to be very tanky, but he will be doing a lot of pseudo poke beforehand, right? As people are starting to set up, but we get to see Onat's like, I wonder if anybody's in that bush. Turns out there were multiple players. The next dragon spawns. I mean, the Skies have given up a lot of pressure around the actual dragon. It looks like they're going to be forced to go for a retake, but they have a lot of instant dive.
Blazers keeping Skies at bay at the moment. The dragon has been started up by Team Fish Taco, but Lunacia hasn't found that way to get into the back line. It's Zazel instead with the engage, the follow-up. Onat's got the charge on top of him. The gas storm, it helps him out. He's still alive. How did Onat survive all of that was thrown at him? Team Fish Taco, they might have lost Rel, but they're now jumping back on the DSG as Lunacia will pick up the kill onto Zazel. The rest of the team onto the dragon.
And wow, what a turn coming out from Team Fish Taco. Onat able to get out, and we saw that Meech had to go incredibly far forward, but that's a big fight coming through from Team Fish Taco, trying to turn everything around. Are they going to be starting up the bear? They're already pinging towards it. Tomio's alive.
That's going to be risky. They are pinging towards it. They have 2 members so far on it, but I don't think they can burn this. It's going to be the TP coming in from Onat. Tomio, like you said, still up, and there's a blast going on the other side. They've got vision, trying to get rid of the control ward. He can go over. Are you going to try to burn it down? There's a smite fight secured by Tomio. You couldn't go for that one, Team Fish Taco.
Wow, that's a rough moment coming through. There's no reason to try and give him an opportunity to fight that. They don't even try to keep him out of the pit. Everybody stays on the far side, trusting Rose starting to go for it. I respect the trust in your teammate, but that's a risk that they did not need to take. And now, trying to find another opportunity to go for Fake God.
Getting rid of as many Turo Baron buffs as possible from DSG, since Tomio was a hero, sealing that away. Fake God should fall here. Enough burn from Onat. Now Onat on a rampage is going to be nice, but with 3 members still having the Turo Baron buff for DSG, they can easily go to lane and gain more gold, but we got to take a look at the initial play that started it all off.
This overdive coming through ends up putting them in a really tough position. There's so much damage as they catch onto Young before they actually get to Onat, and the explosion doesn't go off. They don't get the reset. Young can't reposition, and everybody has to bail out. Look at the fact that the tanks from Disguise are still full HP after the fight. That's one, DSG going too far, but 2, also Team Fish Taco showcasing that they are here to kill the backlane. They don't care about actually hitting these tanks. They're not the ones that are doing the damage.
There, see that it's just a simple smite steal from Tomio. Gives up his life for it, but after all is said and done, that is the best you can hope for DSG. The fact the fight had gone so poorly for them around that dragon, but they still are the ones that gain Baron for 3 members. They're gonna at least be able to keep the game prolonged for a little bit longer so they can get some crucial item spikes.
Yeah, Tomio?
Tomio having to flash there. There's gonna be a big flash blown. They were able to at least get some damage back onto Rosethorn, and that is one thing. You talked about the poke that Tomio provides, but the poke from Meech is really starting to hurt these members of Team Fish Taco.
And I don't know if you remember how crazy dumb AP Kai'Sa used to be. It's nowhere near as dumb as it was back in those days, but it still creates a lot of pressure. Still hurts. And now Disguised. I'm curious how they actually want to play this, right? Because we were talking about how they do have tools to try and split push the game. But unfortunately, Fake God, while he's done a good job farming, hasn't been able to pick up a lot of kills in these past couple of fights. The rest of his team is trying to make plays in ways where he's not able to support them. And while he's currently still feeling as though he can push with the Baron, but with some people hovering him as he moves in the bottom lane, it's not going to be too long before Lunacia is just able to take total control of his side lane and really beat up on Fake God in the long lanes.
Well, the Turo Baron buff only has a few more seconds left, and then it's going to be gone off all the heads of DSG. Not really gaining much outside, I think, that tier 1 in the bot lane. So a little bit of extra gold for DSG, which keeps them slightly ahead of the curve of Team Fish Taco, about 2,000 gold here. But you can see some of these big items that are getting completed by Team Fish Taco. The Mikhail's Crucible for Rosethorn to provide extra peel. And Onat being someone who you can clearly tell that DSG want to focus on. Get rid of that Victor. Well, now he's got the stopwatch and the NACL, so he's going to be that much more difficult to actually burst down.
Fish Taco at the same time trying to move towards the top half of the map. Not going to be catching out anybody, right? They know that Onat is one of the most likely targets for Disguise, but Disguise are nowhere close to that. Instead, they are prioritizing getting control around this upcoming dragon. They still want to pick this up, right? If you can find the Cloud Soul, it is incredibly useful for, honestly, the entire team, right? Like, it's probably the least useful on Young, but having the extra movement speed to chase down the backline to reposition a lot of these fights will put them likely over the top. But now, Disguise, they start throwing saplings down early, but Daisy face checks those.
That's the power that Ivern does have with Daisy. It's just Daisy's really strong at absorbing any of that poke. If Meech throws out a Void Seeker, Daisy. Throw out a sapling, Daisy. Need to get vision, gone. Daisy.
Yeah. There's a very small window where Daisy is gone based on the length that it has and the cooldown of the ability.
Small.
But still, as Disguise are starting to take up positions, this Void Seeker is coming through.
They are hurting. They are landing, and look at Fake God. This time they got the tank on the other side. Zonat ate a second Void Seeker, now at half health. They go for the engage from NXI, and they bursted down Young before he could do anything, but they do lose NXI as Fake God getting a lot of attention. Lunacia getting rid of him the best he can. Tomio nearly bursted down by the laser point of the engage coming in from Zeyzal. Onat still untouched. Up into the air goes Spawn, but now pulled back in with all out with a feather recall. They've got Fake God in the pit. Almost takes down one. He's burning, but he's going to survive with the heal, the shields. But Onat makes sure it's still going to be a 2-for-2 trade across the board. Well, the dragon has been started and still is being wailed away. It's going to be finished off by Spawn. Roshthorn has to give his life, and that's Taco losing most of their members.
Wow, what a crazy fight. It starts off with another great pick onto Young, but Disguise are the ones that come out with more members at the end of it. But what do they do with it? They don't get any new objectives. They don't get to push their line of minions up. They have to go for a reset. There's another Baron spawning here in less than 30 seconds. And again, we are seeing that these fights have been so difficult. Onat is slowly building up into the incredibly powerful late game character that Victor can be, where he just has so much control over the battlefield. It is so much damage. And Young not been able to participate in the last few fights.
No, Young has been having a difficult time at the moment to really do anything. And when you have the double marksman composition where one of them is that static shiv abuser, Kaisa, who's gone for more of an AP route, it's not about her being a marksman at this point. It's more about the poke that she can provide and the wave clear that she has. You can see that it does hurt. When you get Meech landing a lot of these Void Seekers onto the same target, especially the resets that you can get, the 60% refund that you have when it lands on a champion is nice, but you still have to land that. And that GSG want to find these fights. They got to be so cautious that, especially if NXI wants to start off a fight, get into this backline before Young or Meech can get out of there, they can burst down one of these marksmen really quick.
Yeah, and the waves on both sides kind of even as we start dancing for this Baron. Yeah, it really is going to be on NXI to try and find another one of these big engages. Fake God, he's the one trying to find pressure.
Taking a lot of damage, and that's going to be Nature's Grasp. Getting the lockdown. They already got him out, though. Onat still surviving, and he's godlike with NXI falling. The tanks are gone on both sides. With the Chaos Storm, he's seeing DSG push back. Onat ate another Void Seeker, getting himself low, looking for that poke. This is where Meech is going to really be a difficult position. You got to stop him from landing these Void Seekers, finally missing one of them. Team Fish Taco still pinned back. If they recall here, especially without the TP for Lunacia, that's just going to be DSG onto the Baron.
Yeah, they're going to be starting this up, right? There is a lot of pressure that they can put down. They still have a ton of vision control every single time. It is going to be forcing Team Fish Taco to try and check them. They're doing it with Daisy so far. There's no flashes on Meech or Young.
Look at Spawn and look at Lunacia. They're still far from actually joining this one and eating up a sapling. Onat's so low. No Chaos Storm either. Looking for the poke, but it's going to be the secure onto the Baron for DSG without even so much as a fight.
Another Turo Baron buff coming out this time for Disguise. The first one stolen by Tomio. This time they just cleanly take it. Nobody able to walk in. Daisy just goes down too early on, but these fights have been super chaotic. Super on a knife's edge as both players, both teams just constantly poking at each other, trying to find an opportunity to jump in. The fact that Young and Meech both had to use some of their mobility to go backwards in that last fight was really, really rough for them to deal with. And I'm actually really curious how NXI got brought into the backline. I actually wonder if that was a rare mistake from Fake God knocking him into the rest of the team.
Yeah, we'd have to take a look at the replay to really know exactly how that's going. But regardless, Disguise with the Turo Baron buff for another 2 minutes. Gonna push back and gain a lot more control. And I was talking about how it's been about 2,000 gold separating the teams for a while. Now at DSG, they've got a 5,000 gold lead, and they should be able to topple some of these structures they were struggling with beforehand. This tier 2 in the bot lane. Need quick work of mid lane as well. You can see that Young is already set up to take that turret as well.
Oh, they really want to get Daisy. Daisy down, Daisy down.
Daisy is down. Got some time that you can punish them. It is a low cooldown, though, as we are getting later into the game for Daisy. So it's not going to be too long that you have that window to really punish lack of Daisy.
Yeah. You're starting to see the pings coming out from the members of Disguise saying, hey, we want to make sure we can clean up our waves a little bit before we actually have to go fight around the next dragon. The Turo Baron buff not being nearly as impactful so far in this game, but we were talking before about how Onat scaling into this late game monster on the Victor. We also have Young scaling on the late game. Tristana has 3 items completed, has the BT, so they will be able to save themselves from a lot of the poke that will be coming out from Onat. This is very bold.
Very bold, looking for Young. Romeo on the other side, but they don't realize. Rocky jump away. Daisy a little bit too early, but
Zazel.
look at Zazel on the back line. NXI gonna be the tag. No Rosethorn. They want to get rid of Rosethorn, and they're pouring everything forward. With the redemption not in time. It is a trade back 1-for-1. Romeo taking a lot of damage as well. Onat waiting it out. Chaos Storm brewing. Tickling some of the members, doing a lot of more damage to Tomio. That's going to be Nature's Grasp thrown out as well. Looking to dive them underneath the turret, but body block there. Not going to get the root. Instead, it's still the Turo Baron buff. This guys want to topple one more structure before it times out. One more hit. There it is. 3 turrets in total taken by the second Turo Baron buff.
Wow, very bold, but I love it coming out from Disguise, making sure that they can get the maximum amount of gold off of this objective, and by keeping Team Fish Taco on the top side of the map, not giving them the tempo necessary to reset and move over towards the Cloud Dragon. That's honestly some big brain play coming out from Disguise, making sure they take everything and giving no opportunities for their opponent to try and fight them for any of these objectives. Disguise now 8,000 gold in the lead, a 3rd dragon. No Turo Baron buff. They can't really siege up going up against Onat, right? He still has enough wave clear that the only way to take these structures is to dive them.
To either dive them or possibly wait another 2.5 minutes for the 3rd Turo Baron buff of the game. Good look for that one, but then you're risking a potential fight. And even if you have quite a large lead for Disguised here at 7,000 gold, we are getting to the point of the game. You called it out that Onat, incredibly powerful on this Victor. 8-1 already, and then even looking at the Jax, where the Jax has gone for a little bit more of a team fight sort of build to join in with the rest of the team. He's still going to be very difficult for you to deal with, especially because he has that Abyssal Mask to help shred through a lot of the resistances for Victor to get extra damage.
Yeah, a surprising build coming out for Lunacia, right? You don't see that item built very often in general, and much less often on the Jax. But it's really showing a lot of faith in this young mid laner. Hashtag ONation. Currently, I imagine the most gold. No, not even close.
Wow.
Meech.
Okay, I'm a bit surprised by that. I thought it was going to be Young, but Meech, well ahead of the curve. 3,000 gold over the next member of Team Fish Taco.
I was not expecting that. We'll see what Meech is able to do. It feels as though Meech has been relatively quiet in a lot of these fights, playing a very defensive role, but still 5-1-5, most farm in the game, actually by a large margin.
Yeah, with the stopwatch too. Meech set up for success to be not only the member that can constantly poke at these members of Team Fish Taco, you can see the Void Seeker, how safe Meech can play in a lot of these aspects, but also level 17. Got a lot that you can do as this guy said. That's going to be the Nature's Grasp throw, and look at Zazel. Hex Flash over the wall. Not actually going to look for the engage. Instead, Onat taking way too much damage there from one more Void Seeker, and NXI body blocking the second one just to make sure that Victor stays up.
It looked like a McHale is being used from Rosethorn as well, as the Void Seeker barely missing out on spawn. But I believe that was a McHale's being used by Rosethorn on Onad. And yeah, it's on cooldown for a little while.
20 seconds until the third Thorough Baron buff is up for teams to fight over. Team Fish Taco in a rough position. Look at how little control they have of vision. They have no idea of the movements outside of that one little ward there by the mid lane tier 1 they placed. They kind of give them an idea that Meech is now mid lane. Same with Zazel, but still waiting it out. Not going for anything. I almost spilled my tea, but it's okay. Right now, DSG are on top of the Baron.
Yeah, and they do it relatively fast. It's only 2 members, but it's so healthy, and they have a lot of damage. Team Fish Taco trying to come in, but the Baron's already gone.
They get it before even noticing it. Team Fish Taco, they're like, wait a minute, it's already been taken?
Yeah, a third Turo Baron buff coming out for Disguise in this game. Team Fish Taco actually pressing them a lot harder than I think people were expecting. I know game one was like a dominant performance coming out from Disguise, but this is definitely a game where Team Fish Taco probably doesn't actually realize how far behind in gold they are, because they haven't necessarily been going for a lot of these fights, and when the fights have been happening, they're relatively even a lot of the time. But Disguise, they have so much extra power, and now with the Turo Baron buff, they should be able to try and crack the base. If they don't do it here, it's going to be really hard to do without the Elder Dragon.
Keep in mind, only one turret has actually fallen for DSG too. That's a lot of gold still on the table for Team Fish Taco. If they can win just one of these fights, even if they have it split up where it's a 4-for-2, they can take so much gold back against DSG. But that's the big thing. They have to win one of those fights in a pretty big spread up against DSG, who've now got 8,500 gold over them. A minute until a possible Cloud Soul for DSG that Team Fish Taco don't feel confident enough to fight against.
Yeah. And I'm really looking at Lunacia to try and play a bigger role in these fights, right? This has honestly been an uncharacteristically poor game for Fake God. The number of times he's gone in and gotten caught has been a lot more. Wow, Daisy just pops. But it also means that it's an opportunity for Lunacia to try and be relatively aggressive. He's playing the Jax into a double marksman comp. He's looking for opportunities to disrupt them. And if he can stop Young from firing for even, maybe 2 seconds, that's enough for Onet and Spawn to out DPS the backline from Disguise.
Meech, though, constantly harassing the backline of Team Fish Taco. NXI taken down below half. And with the mid lane having already fallen to Young, DSG now attacking all 3 lanes simultaneously. The top lane gonna fall as well to the double cannon Baron buff. Nothing that Lunacia could do to stop it either.
Yeah, just lining up. This is one of the things that I feel as though has been the weakest part of Team Fish Taco's game, and Disguise abusing it, is when you pull them apart, Team Fish Taco either full sends an engage or just gets, picked to the bone, right? There's not a lot that they're able to do right now. It's got to be on NXI going for a flash engage. They haven't even looked.
They haven't even tried, and the top lane inhibitor gonna fall without so much as a fight, because every single time Team Fish Taco step up, they're getting chunked out by Meech. Look at him, they're sending Void Seeker after Void Seeker, chunking at these members of Team Fish Taco. That one missing, but they don't really need it to land because they're putting all this pressure onto Team Fish Taco, who now are pinned underneath this inhibitor turret in the bot lane, and there goes the last inhibitor turret, taken without so much as a fight from Team Fish Taco.
Yeah, Fake God also hitting the Nexus turrets on the top half of the map. Disguise, they can try and play more aggressively here, but they got everything they could have possibly asked for. There's a Cloud Soul for them to go pick up if they just want to send one person and continue to create pressure, but they are going to be backing away after getting 2 of the inhibitors. Meech still sticking around, is like, I wonder if they're in this bush they have set up for themselves.
That's the second time in a row that the Turin Baron buff for DSG got them exactly 3 turrets, but this time also with 2 inhibitors. Team Fish Taco feels like, kind of like you were saying, that they're at this point in the game where they're not sure what they can do or how they can start these fights, because one poor fight, one fight that they misstep or don't find the proper targets, this game is over.
It doesn't look as though Team Fish Taco, I don't want to say that they look broken in this game, right? Because it definitely has been a game where they have been fighting so much, but haven't been seeing them have the same kind of confidence in this game that we have in some of their previous games, right? Whenever Onat and Rostar are moving together looking confident, whenever NXI is going for these big engages, they've been having opportunities to go for these fights. But as the late game scaling continues to ramp up from Young and Meech, they are really, really impressive. You can see that Meech has actually sold his Gwinsus for Loons. He's like, well, I'm not auto-attacking anybody. Like, they're not letting me fight. Let's get me the item that actually does the most damage in the engagements we're actually taking.
We even see that Onat, he had him Agi's for a while. Sold that just to pick up a death cap. So they can look for a possible fight here as DSG continue to lord control over the jungle. Team Fish Taco, they don't even have a path out of their own base. They are so corralled. And with only one more inhibitor standing in the bot lane for them, they're trying desperately to defend it, but all you have to do is land one of those. And as you said, because he's decided to opt for more of that poke for Kai'Sa, it is going to chunk any member that it hits of Team Fish Taco.
Yeah, the magic pen that he gets from the Ludens is going absolutely nuts. As we see that, still doing like 400 damage to Spawn, not even hitting him on purpose, just kind of the ambient damage that he's able to do as well. They're starting to set up, and Team Fish Taco, you got to find an opportunity to full send it. It doesn't get better after the inhibitor goes down.
Looking at Young too, got a fat minion wave already stacked there in the top lane. Onat doing his best to try to grab that before it collides with these Nexus turrets, but you got 3 lanes that are starting to put pressure. Mid lane and top lane. They're going for the engage. They've got the pick, and they do get the burst on Azazel, but that's just the support. You haven't got the carries just yet because Meech is able to flash away, but it is a start.
Good catch. That'll slow things down quite a bit. And 10 seconds left before a 4th Baron in the game. Team Fish Taco find a crucial pick, but we gotta watch the poke coming out from Meech with all these inhibitors down. It's not ridiculous for a Disguise to try and threaten to end the game and prevent Team Fish Taco from actually moving out of their base.
As Taco are outside. They are venturing into territory not seen in ages for them. Even looking to see if they can start this Baron. Last time they did this, Tomio, he stole away the first Turo Baron buff. They've got the last 2 on their own. It's getting burst down so quickly. Tomio doesn't even get in. It is secured by Team Fish Taco, but now they've got to get out. They've got to deal with the poke coming in from Meech, as he's got 60% cooldown reduction on that. And look how he can just shoot him out over and over again.
Man, this reminds me so much of a game that I cast from Winthrop last year, right? Where Doxo was actually playing the AP Kai'Sa in the mid lane. And he was just like, when I asked him, when did you know you were going to win this game? It's like, well, I just did. I just had that confidence that I'm going to be able to carry it. I'm still looking for Meech. He's got to chain a couple of these together on the same target, but they are creating enough space for Meech to really go for all of these things. But you can tell neither side seems able to engage, right? You are trying to dive into Victor Zaya. You are trying to dive into Maokai and Cassante. And neither side has the aggressive tools to actually make things happen. So until we see another pick as somebody slips up, we're going to be at this standstill for a while.
All right, Josh. We are almost at, in just a couple seconds, once it gets to 39, we are at the longest game we've had of the split so far. So there it is. This will be officially the longest split, this longest game of the summer split.
Yeah, they can just keep going.
What's that, Josh?
I mean, we can just keep going, right? Like, this is going to have to come to a head around the Elder Dragon. Unless somebody gets picked, unless somebody makes a mistake and goes too aggressive, this is going to be decided around the Elder Dragon. And as we see another turret go down, Tomio has already thrown out the ult.
Run it out, and they've got Spawn, who already used the cleanse to get out of there. Looking to poke him back, and that's a TP from Lunacia just to get into the mid lane to deny any further fight from DSG. But that's only a single turret picked up by Team Fish Taco. This Turo Baron buff, it's still got a minute left before it's going to time out. That's not very much gained by Team Fish Taco.
These are the hardest games for rookies to win when they go this long, because they just haven't been playing for as long, right? I guarantee Fake God, Zazel have been playing games like this for years, right? They've been doing this kind of thing for so long. They have more experience in these really late positions, and it's something we haven't really talked about because Team Fish Taco have been able to stand strong. But as the main shot callers, I keep looking to Zeyzal to try and find some opportunity. When we get this late in the game, you see there aren't spots in inventories for control wards. This is where some of the flanking opportunities from Zeyzal become really difficult to deal with.
Team Fish Taco looking for another turret. More gold, more objective bounty they're picking up that can help them get back into the game. But look at Young. Young is off in his own little adventure in the top lane, possibly looking to take down that inhibitor that has respawned. And with the poke from Meech, kind of keep him at bay from getting that reset off, it's going to be Onat who has to answer him.
Both of them have the teleport. Both of them can join at a moment's notice, but 30 seconds left before the Elder Dragon spawns. NXI goes
For it. Was looking for Meech, but wasn't able to get him. Instead, it's Fake got it. He's burst down. He has to go golden.
Zeyzal
re-engaging. It's Rose Thorn's turn to go golden, but they've already lost the engage. And they've got one Guardian's Angel popped and spawned, trying to kite it back as they got the all out on the other side. Tomio's got the attention of the carries from Taco. Even with the pullback, Meech dives into the back line. This guy's, it might have taken a while, but you got a triple kill. They want to get everybody dead as Lunacia with the Guardian's Angel. He will only revive to die to disguise with the ace finally there. End the game for DSG.
I love the look from Team Fish Taco. You gotta try and make some of these things happen in the late game, but it is again Disguised who stand tall at the end of it. Disguised able to fight a 2-0 here in a way that I don't think a lot of us were expecting. Team Fish Taco not winning or coming close in this game by running over the opponents, but by playing this really long style of game that has not been their purview so far this split. But congratulations to Disguised on a 2-0 in a much closer series than we expected.
Much closer, and the longest game of the split as well in that game too. The Disguised were able to get a 2-0 over Team Fish Taco. After having lost 0-2 yesterday, has to feel good for this team.
Yeah, again, you gotta feel for everybody who has to go for an engage, right? You look at NXI, you look at Zeyzal in such a long period of time, and as we take a look at the damage stats, right?
Look at Meech. Wow.
There's one of these champions is able to hit from off screen, and that champion did the most damage with the least actual team fights going on. Turns out it was Meech again, but when it comes down to these really late game situations, you gotta look at the experience. NXI shifting from the jungle to support, goes for it. Love the idea. You got to try and make something happen when you're down that far. Fortunately, just didn't find it this time.
The worst thing is that he was looking for Meech, right? The big person, the big target on the head of any player of DSG. And it was so close, but Meech just barely was able to get out of dodge so that they could turn that fight completely around. And even afterwards, it was still close because of all the Guardian's Angels that Team Fish Taco had built for themselves.
Yeah. Still, a lot of fun stuff coming through from the side of Disguise. I am hoping to see a little bit more, right? Unfortunately, I think it's kind of funny that you take a look at all the damage carries and then there's like Young, right? And it's not even that he's not doing damage in the fights, it's just that there weren't fights for him to do damage.
Right. The fights were pretty much won by all the poke that Meech was doing, and Young just like, I guess I'll clear the waves in a side lane, I suppose. Yeah. That's just what I'm going to do. And then for, Onat and for Spawn, they actually did have to hit front lines. They actually did have to be more in the battle compared to that of Meech.
Yeah, still. Good stuff overall. Congratulations to Disguise on this 2-0 and continue to try and find their way towards the top half of the bracket.
Yeah, and with the longest game as well, got to feel good after winning that one. It got close there for a bit, but Disguise did have the lead for quite some time. They'll pick up that 2-0 like you said, Josh, but we're going to toss it to a break, and when we come back, we'll bring back Menzel and an interview with Disguise, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Rise It post-game interview, and I'm joined by a man that I love to get to talk to every time I do. I'm joined by Tomio for Disguise, and you guys had a heck of a doozy with that last game, the longest game of the split, and I'm so happy to get to talk to you again. I know yesterday must have just been disappointing to lose 0-2. So how does it feel now? 2 series in, you get the 2-0 today, second round robin in front of you. What are the vibes like?
It feels good. The vibes are still good per usual, and it's always good to get a 2-0 because a lot of our series, at least in the first round robin, we went 1-1 in most of them, and we got like only 1 or 2 2-0s. So it's definitely a confidence booster for sure.
Okay. Well, I'll say the confidence booster was definitely game number 1. You popped the hell off on the Nico, man. The Nico jungle, too. I do want to start the conversation by talking about that bot lane gank. That incredible timing as well. What was the mentality going in? Was it planned from the get-go or what?
I think when I was walking bot, and then I just wanted to take the bush, the river bush, and then I saw there was no ward, so I was like, okay, they're kind of walking up too far, and I just thought in the moment, I was like, oh, I'm gonna just flash over and use my ult behind them, because it's a big circle and they can't get out.
No reaction time.
Yeah,
either,
it was just in the moment, and I saw a way that I could punish them for walking up too far.
I like it. Hey, you definitely did punish him. Do you feel like you're getting more comfortable in the meta, especially with these kind of niche meta picks that you're bringing out, a little bit more confidence in you?
Yeah, I'd say I'm comfortable with the meta right now, and I'm happy playing whatever champ fits our team comp or what we need.
You are you a Lord of the Rings fan at all?
No.
No. I was gonna ask you who wins in the Fanghorn.
I don't watch movies or shows recently.
Okay.
But I know what it is. It's pretty good genre, from what I've heard.
Pretty good. Maybe I'll
Harry Potter
maybe
and
get
stuff.
to watch it with you sometime. That would be awesome. I do want to say though, you're foreshadowing to like the 2-0 consistency. There's been some rocky moments for you guys. What is it, or who is it that's kind of corralling that mental, keeping you guys on the vision ahead, and really keep you guys in the game?
I'd say together as a whole, we keep each other in check, and mostly Zazel. He gives us confidence in game, or like he's a good read on what went wrong or what we need to change or fix after we review in practice or an actual match. And he does a lot of that.
Yeah, and speaking of Zazel a little bit, you guys know each other very well. Honestly, one of the biggest duos with Cloud9 last split when you guys won the championship. Your guys' connection early on was so crucial. It feels like that is not necessarily the case anymore. Yes, when you guys cohese, it's really strong, but you yourself have been able to find a lot of advantages on your own. And a lot of the things that you look for DSG come through you. So what has changed for you? Have you changed mentality, or is it just you're feeling more confident in yourself?
I think it's maybe the meta that changed it a bit, because it feels like if you're strong and you get yourself strong for the first 10 minutes, 8 minutes of the game, you can control like the early game or even the first objectives. And the meta was like, it was weird because it was in challengers, and now it's kind of shifting more into like more melee supports. As you can see, like Rel is getting more picked than Alistar, and like Renata just came out of nowhere because engage supports are coming back. And
you see Kanavi took it in jungle the other day. I'm just saying, Tomy.
Yeah, it was kind of lit. Why you gotta float the Rel? I mean, it's getting buffed next patch, so maybe I play it. It looks pretty fun too. It's good.
You want to
engage.
go forward. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit of the meta, maybe a little bit of confidence in your own self. I like to hear, man. It's always nice to hear. Just getting to watch me. I remember getting to interview you from one of my first interviews, but also one of yours. It's incredible to see this much time later how much you've grown.
Yeah.
But I do want to go ahead and highlight. We have 4th of July coming up here soon. Do you have any plans? Are you doing anything fun? Is the team doing anything?
4th of July. I mean, it's kind of hard because we're all remote, but I mean, I live in Canada. Canada Day happened on the 1st, but I don't have any plans. Maybe just to play some League, but maybe look at fireworks.
You guys should do a virtual barbecue. You guys all just get in a Discord call and you just hang out like you're pretending to grill patties and stuff. I think it'll be a good time.
Yeah.
Well, Hey, maybe
Gotta love
maybe
some
got
meat.
some fun. Yeah, exactly.
Get some meat.
What's your favorite barbecue meat?
My favorite barbecue meat, I mean, it's probably chicken. Nothing can go wrong with
Okay.
chicken, but steak's pretty good too. But meat is just meat. It's good. Everything you eat
Get to eat, and that's all you need.
tastes good
Sustenance.
for the taste buds.
I like it. Well, I do want to give you one last moment here. Give any shout outs, anybody you want to talk about before I let you go, Tobio.
Shout out to my teammates, my coach. Shout out to our analyst, and shout out to our sponsors, patreon.com/disguised. They've been helping support us, and it's the only reason why we're here. And shout out to the haters and the fans.
Let's go.
That's
hey,
all.
You hear that, man. Hear that. You got all love from me over here, Tobio. Congratulations on the 2-0, and keep it going, all right? We'll see you again soon, I'm sure.
All right, take it easy.
Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and take it back from him, but we are going to send it away to a little break while we get ready for our final series of the day. Make sure you don't touch that browser.